Before I started reading Empire of Pain, I had a big question in my mind. How different can a non-fiction book about a pharmaceutical company be if Netflix has already created a six-part documentary series on the entire fiasco? Sackler family, which was behind a opioid drug called Oxycontin, sold millions and millions of pills to the patients of United States and got them addicted to opioids, and the entire saga has been very entertainingly recorded and shown on Netflix. Now, how much more exciting can you make a story which you already know? Let me answer this very quickly, and in a very short answer for you is very, very, very exciting. This book is so much more than whatever you've seen in the TV series. If you are somebody who's seen Painkiller on Netflix, Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe is a book that literally tells you everything about the entire saga. There's so much more, and I'll share more about it through the episode. It also proves that live action media can never live up to the expectations or the depth of the written word. This book is about greed, it's about marketing, it's about sales, it's about scams, it's about mis-selling, it's about lack of ethics, it's about rise and fall of an entire empire, about the Sackler family, the kind of tricks that they've used, financial jugglery that they've done, and so much more. Watch this episode till the end, or listen to this episode till the end to know everything about Empire of Pain. Hello and welcome to the third episode of I Urge You To, a podcast where I keep giving you recommendations on books, TV series, movies, episodes of other podcasts, documentaries that have helped me get knowledge, get perspective, and have changed my life in one small part or a much bigger part, depending on every episode. I'm Manish Ahuja, a money mindset and financial literacy coach by profession and a media and knowledge addict by choice. This episode has been brought to you by Paycheck To Profit, my company, my brand, which I'll talk to you about a little later in the episode. But let's start talking about Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe. I urge you to read Empire of Pain. Empire of Pain is a non-fiction title that elaborates on the Sackler family from the United States and their contribution or their miscontribution to the pharmaceutical world, the unethical means that they took or chose to continue doing for decades that impacted millions of patients and got them addicted to opioids. Read this book to understand why the whole pharmaceutical industry is also called to, or is also said to be selling drugs. That's all what I'll tell you. This book was gifted to me by a friend who I met through a book club. Shout out to Kalyani. Thank you so much for sending me a copy of this book. She saw me sharing the story of watching the Painkiller on Netflix and how exciting it was, and she decided to just send me a copy. I'm really grateful for that. And for you, if you want to know about what am I watching, what am I reading, if you want to get a glimpse or sneak peek of what could end up becoming the next episode of I Urge You To, I really request you to follow me across social media on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You'll find all the links below the like button or in the description or in the show notes, depending on where you are consuming this episode. Before I tell you everything about this book, very quickly, let me tell you about Paycheck To Profit. Paycheck To Profit is a community for Gen Zs and millennials where I'm creating an ecosystem and helping people to change their relationship with money, build a much better money mindset, learn about the concept called money blocks, which nobody's talking about, understand how to use law of attraction to manifest more wealth into your life, and a lot more. In the show notes in the description, you'll find a link to become a part of the Profit Clan or sign up for the free Profit Masterclass. Please go and click on those links and sign up for the Profit Masterclass or become a part of the Profit Clan to know how Paycheck To Profit can help you. Now, getting back to the episode, let's talk about, very quickly, let me tell you how does the recommendation on I Urge You To work. I talk about 4 sections: what could have been better, what was good, what was really good, or what was excellent, and what deserves standing ovation, which makes my episodes all about recommendations and not about critiquing the piece of work. So what could have been better in Empire of Pain? The last few chapters could definitely have been better. 90% of the book is almost like you're reading a thriller, but the last few chapters, at least for me, felt like they were a little complex and rushed. But again, that probably could have been how the book was written, and the book was up to date till the time it was published. So maybe a few things hadn't panned out the way the author would have wanted, and he just had to report it and get the book to print. So I understand that, but I just hope that aspect could have been dealt with a little better. What was really good, and there is a lot that was good about it, the way the book has been structured. So the Netflix documentary only talks about 33% of what is covered in this book. The book starts with how the Sackler family actually got into the world of pharmaceuticals. How did they end up buying this brand called Purdue? How did they start selling opioids? How did they start marketing medicines? Arthur Sackler, one of the prime founders of Purdue, or at least the Sackler family, is responsible or is the pioneer who introduced the concept of advertising in pharmaceutical products and in medicines in the US. And today, the amount of copywriting, the amount of advertising genius that you find in pharmaceutical industry and in medicines is really work of pure genius. And you will understand by reading this book how did it all start and what was the contribution of Arthur Sackler to the world of advertising and pharmaceutical products. What else? There is so much more in this book that you need to read to literally relive the entire times of how the Sackler family started from being absolute regular middle class families to being the empire that they've created. What was excellent about this book is the unfiltered, raw, well researched, name it all sort of episode after episode after episode that Keefe talks about in every chapter. Not a single chapter felt like it was forced, it's a fairly heavy book. It's about 450 odd pages, but not a single page felt like it was written just to push the narrative. No, everything was very, very, very well structured. The way things are explained, it's really shocking that this is actually work of a single author. The depth with which Keefe has written in this book, I really think it's commendable how much work has gone into this one book. What deserves a standing ovation in this book is very, very, very simple. You will not feel like you're reading a non-fiction book. It's really well paced. The overall style of writing is very easy to read if you've been reading non-fiction books, or especially if you are interested to know about the world of business, about the world of advertising, about the world of marketing, about the world of copywriting, about the world. There are so many episodes. Now, I'll give you a very simple example. This is obviously not a spoiler. Read this book to understand why do millionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires get into the world of philanthropy and use the whole concept of philanthropy to actually get into tax savings. You'll understand why you find names of families or names of really important or really popular surnames on the buildings of museums, art galleries, various theaters, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying all the rich people who are into philanthropy are using the kind of tax saving tricks and ideas that are mentioned in this book or that the Sacklers used, but you will at least get a glimpse of how the world of philanthropy works, at least the way this has been explained. It was an absolute eye-opener for me. It's just the way the writing of this book is so rich and so entertaining. It almost feels bad to use the word entertaining for a non-fiction book, but that is literally what has helped me reach the book till the end. I literally took just about a week to finish this book, and with my regular work of Paycheck To Profit, of coaching, creating content, it was not easy, and obviously my personal life as well. So who could skip this book, or who should skip this book? Only one set of people who I can think of can skip this book are the people who are not very well invested in the world of non-fiction books. If you've not liked or read too much non-fiction, or if you're somebody who is absolutely not interested to know about pharmaceutical industry, but again, listen to the next point to understand who should definitely read this book. If you fall into one of these categories, still read this book, and I'll tell you what. If you're a business owner, if you're a marketer, if you're somebody who's in the sales job, if you're a copywriter, if you're a non-fiction author, if you're a doctor, if you are somebody who's curious about how the pharmaceutical industry works, please pick up this book. It is so beautiful. It is so knowledgeable. It is so entertaining. It's insightful. Read this book and you're not going to complain about it. You're not going to regret picking this book up. It's an absolute must read for people who I just mentioned. Business owners, marketers, people in sales, people who are into copywriting, non-fiction authors, content creators, doctors, and people who are curious about how the big pharma industry works. Please read this book. Well, does this book stand the test of time? It's a fairly new book. I'm recording this video in 2024 and this book was published in 2021, and yes, it's a fairly new book, so it's very well dated. It's pretty much still relevant, and you will find a lot of information to be useful to you even probably a decade or 2 decades down the line. So it's a good investment. Where to find it? At least in India, I'm not sure if you're going to find it in most bookstores because it's not a very, very, very popular title, but you could try. But otherwise, you could always buy this on Amazon or get the audiobook on Audible. A small request, if you are purchasing this book on Amazon, you'll find the link in the description of the show notes, which is my affiliate link. If you choose to order your copy from that affiliate link, I will get a small kickback, but it would be really helpful for me. It would be a support to this podcast and I'd be really grateful, but it's absolutely voluntary. If you feel like just buying the book directly from Amazon, that's great too. No complaints. But anyway, let me consolidate this very quickly for you. Please read this book to get a glimpse of the mind of the Sacklers, because that is where the entire magic happened. If Sacklers would have used this skill set, this genius, to do something really good, to not sell opioids, which are very, very, very addictive, which have had a very negative impact on the lives of patients and families of those patients, Sacklers could have been one of the most revered, respected, looked upon sort of a family, a business. They would be a case study in every business school of the world. Unfortunately, today they have just become a name that is frowned upon, and this book will tell you everything about it. Tell me if you've read this book. Tell me if you agree to everything that I've said in this book. Tell me if you do not agree with something in this book or what I've said. Also, comment and tell me what other books would you like me to read and cover in the future episodes. Tell me what did I miss. Tell me what kind of books do you want me to read. Recommend titles that you've read and that you've really, really liked. I cannot wait to start interacting with you. At this moment, I'm done telling you everything that I had to tell you about Empire of Pain. Please go and buy this book, but also tell me what should I read next. Maybe your recommendation will become the next episode of I Urge You To. Also, I would like to recommend you to watch the episode of this book. It's a fiction book which was written way back in 1976. It's called Not a Penny More, Not a Penny Less. It's a very entertaining read. I had a lot of fun reading this book and creating the episode for the same. You'll find the link to this episode of Not a Penny More, Not a Penny Less by Jeffrey Archer in the show notes or the description below the like button. So please watch this episode. Follow me on social media to know what am I reading next. What could be the next episode of I Urge You To. Or just follow me and give me your recommendations. Ask me your questions. Let's connect on all social media platforms. You'll find all the links below. If you are still listening to this episode or watching this episode, please take a screenshot and share this episode. Share the screenshot on your social media profiles, Instagram stories being the most preferred place. And do not forget to tag me, Mr. Emojical, on your story so that I could also amplify your story to my followers. And please take 2 minutes and give a 5-star review or a rating to this podcast episode so that this podcast reaches out to more and more people. This is really fresh and new as a podcast, and I would really like the community of I Urge You to be a really big community so that we can interact. We can probably become a book club in the future. Who knows? It's just a start for me. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, please give it a like. And a reminder, if you've been watching this episode, you can listen to us across all podcast platforms. Subscribe to I Urge You To on podcast platform of your choice. And if you've been listening to this episode, you can watch all the videos, all the episodes on Mr. Emojical's YouTube channel. You'll find the links in the show notes. A very quick reminder for you to become a part of the Profit Clan. The clan is literally incomplete without you. Paycheck to Profit is definitely here to help you with your financial mindset, and that's about it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode till the end. I'll now see you in the next episode. Please take good care of yourself. Keep reading. Keep giving me your recommendations. Keep interacting with me across social media. I'll now see you in the next episode. Until then, keep going, keep growing.